Hey there friends! Today we're going to transform this little sketch that I did a while ago into a watercolor painting. Right now I'm just laying down the first layers. So for the tree and the ground I'm just using yellow ochre to give it nice yellowy highlights later. And for the sky I just use a mix of cobalt blue and a tiny little bit of permanent green, and that's to give me this manganese hue that I don't really have on my palette right now. So I'm testing out some combinations of colors that give me something very close to what I like. And then later I can compare to some swatches online to get like the perfect aqua green blue color to add to my palette. After I lay down the sky, I just go over it with some paper towels, dabbing it a little bit to get this really subtle clouds in the sky. And I really like this technique to make clouds. I think they look very natural. I'm adding the colors for the clothing, the very light colors that I want to show as highlights later. And I'm also going to start painting the skin, not the skin, the fur of the mouse. Painting those tiny hands and little details was really difficult in this size of a paper. Honestly, I should have gone with a larger size, and I'll keep that in mind going forward to use larger papers for this type of paintings with landscape and a subject and lots of little details. For the little mouse fur, I'm specifically using a shade called Van Dyke Brown from Rembrandt. And I specifically researched this color because I really wanted a warm gray for the fur, and it was really hard to find this shade. So when I got it and I tested out, I was so happy because it's the exact shade that I use on my mouse sculptures, because I use this wool that is this natural gray color that's really beautiful and I really love it. And I really wanted to represent that color in the illustration. Painting this tree was also really fun. I mostly use burnt sienna and burnt umber. I'm not really used to painting the trunk of trees, even though I really like drawing trees. I don't usually paint them because I think the trunk is so beautiful. I get this pressure to try to make the trunk look as beautiful as it is in real life. So I get a little bit intimidated, but I was really happy with how the tree turned out. When painting the mice, I usually like to make them closer to what I make in real life in my sculptures. And I usually really like to make the shadow of the ear very pink and very dark. It's just a style. I'm exaggerating the features of the blood vessels close to the skin and the light shining through it. These boots gave me so much trouble. I was struggling to put my vision on the paper, and I'm definitely going to practice painting and drawing more boots. I already have like a folder full of references of boots, real life boots and illustrated boots, so that I can um, really gain inspiration on how I want to represent them on paper. But I am happy with how they turn out. Just, wish it wasn't so hard for me to do it, because when I'm drawing, I really want to just feel peace instead of frustration. And I was starting to get frustrated with the boots. The idea to make these lines come from Katie Lawrence illustrations. I really love this artist and I'm really get inspired by her drawings. And usually when she paints her little squirrels, she does these lines to represent the fur instead of drawing several lines to make scraggly fur. They usually they kind of look like they went to the hairdresser and got their fur all lined up with gel or something. It's really cute. So I try to represent this type of style in this little illustration. I kept showing the illustration to my mother, and she kept asking me what the little mouse was holding. She just wasn't reading, like in her vision, it just wasn't very clear that it was a book. So I kept making the book more defined, more and more defined, until she could see that it was very clearly a book. And my mom uses glasses and her vision isn't too good. So it's really important to me that she can identify every single object in a painting, because that makes me more certain that not just me is going to know what's going on, most people will. And that's something that I actually learned in design when I went to college, like just making everything very clear and showing it to a lot of people, and everybody being able to identify exactly what you want to say. It's just something that in my illustrations I really like, you to be able to like look at every single detail and be able to tell what you're looking at. I really love drawing rocks. I know a lot of people have trouble with them, but I just love them so much. And my style of drawing rocks is usually I draw the shadows first, and then I go over it with a lighter wash, just trying to leave some highlights and then going over those shadows that I put so that they get diffused. I painted these leaves in a very simple way. If you've been watching my last video, you know that I'm practicing painting and drawing leaves. So next video, we will have more leaf drawing and painting. And now I'm just drawing some shadows for the clothing. This was a really good practice for me on clothing. I love drawing clothing, but I have some trouble with ruffles. Again, like in the end, I do achieve what I want to achieve, but I just want it to not be a frustrating process for me. And the more I draw them, the easier they get, and the less frustrating for me they get. But yeah, it was super fun to draw all those ruffles and make this super fluffy dress. If you follow me on Instagram and you see my sculptures, I usually make this super fluffy ruffle dresses because I just think they're really pretty. So I just wanted to represent the type of style of clothing here. I find that adding hints of details sometimes is more effective than trying to, add a lot of hyper realistic detail with watercolors. It doesn't often work, at least not in this resolution that I'm working with. The paper is not super large, so adding those hints of straw on the hat really helped sell the idea of a hat without it being too overwhelming in details. Unfortunately, I couldn't get too much footage of me painting the birds. It was not a very linear process. I just wasn't very happy with the footage that I got. So I will make a video in the future painting birds because I think they're really a beautiful subject to paint. I'm going over the painting with pencils. These are Polychromos Faber Castell pencils, and I do have some Caran. I'm not sure how to pronounce it, but I do have a few of those too. And I'm just adding a little bit of color to places where I feel like the paint wasn't saturated enough, and also adding shadows to a few places where I couldn't get it dark enough with my watercolors. But that's it. I hope you like this illustration. I had so much fun with it. I really loved it. And I'm really surprised at how much I liked it. And thank you so much for watching. Subscribe if you like it and if you want to see more. Thank you again so much, and I'll see you soon. Bye bye.